right on time. I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Vallecitos Water District for March 18th, 2026. Before we begin, I would like to announce that members of the public may watch the meeting live online by visiting the district's website and clicking the Watch Live icon. However, they will not be able to participate in the meeting remotely. CP, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Directors, please indicate your attendance. All right, everybody is here except for Director Pennick. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
May I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting of March 18th, 2026?
I'll second.
Okay, please vote.
Everyone voted yes.
Oh, okay, okay, so motion passes. Kirsten, do we have any public speakers?
Not received any requests to speak on non-agenda items.
Okay, and may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
And I will second that. Please vote.
Unanimous yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, 2.1, we have a public hearing to review the status of vacant positions as required by AB 2561.
Yeah, thank you, President. So this is an annual item that's required by a state assembly bill, and last year was the first year, so this is our second year, and today our Director of Admin, Denise Aviles, will be presenting along with Bridget Anderson. So, I didn't know you were saying that, Bridget. So I turned around.
We are presenting together. All right, good evening, directors. So tonight we will be presenting AB 2561, the status of vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. So our agenda, I will be going over the requirements and reasoning of AB 2561. Bridget will be going over Vallecitos workforce information, vacancy information, and recruitment statistics. Then it will come back to me and I'll do hiring issues and strategies, retention statistics, and retention issues and strategies. All right, so the requirements of AB 2561. It was effective last January 1st, 2025. It has been added to the MMBA. It must be presented before a governing board at least once per fiscal year before the final adoption of budget. Some of the items that we go over in the AB 2561 is the status of vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts, any necessary changes to policy, procedures, and recruitment activities that may lead to obstacles in the hiring process. So the reasons why AB 2561 came into place is because it gives HR a chance to look at the vacancies that come forward. So when a vacancy comes forward, we look at the job vacancy, we look at the job description, the pay, we talk to the supervisor, we look if we need to make any changes before we post. We also look at the impact on service to our customers, right? So is there, if there's a field person, does that cause more work for the other field people? Customer service, does that mean phone calls aren't getting answered? So we always look at how that relates to the customer. Then we also look at labor relations. Being short-staffed, board knows we run thin. So how does that affect the rest of the staff, the morale? So we look at things like that. And I'll pass it over to Bridget for workforce information.
All right, thank you very much. So just to give you an idea of who it is we're talking about today, here are some statistics for our staffing. We have 100.
Can you turn your, oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that wasn't on.
No, it's
Is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just to give you an idea of who it is we're talking about, here are some general statistics about our staffing. We have 109.5 full-time employees budgeted. That was reduced to 100.8 in October 2025. If I say FTEs, that is full-time employees. That's kind of HR speak that may just flow out, so that is what I'm referring to. In the VWD Employee Association Bargaining Unit, there are 84 employees. Everyone else is management and supervisory staff. There are 4 unclassified positions, and then the general manager. Okay, this table, it breaks down our vacancy status by month. The first line is vacancies created. It's how many positions we lost in any given month. The second is vacancies filled. It covers how many were hired. Total vacancies is next. You'll notice that the numbers don't match because vacancies can roll over month to month. So it's never going to be an even, in and out month to month. The final line is the most important. It's the percentage of vacancies of the total budgeted staff. Our average vacancy rate for 2025 was 10.5%. The highest was in October at 13.3%, and the lowest was 6.6%.
Yeah, and one of the things I learned through this process is when you have an internal promotion, it actually creates an additional vacancy. So it looks like you have an additional vacancy, but what happens is you had an internal promotion, so it created another vacancy. So.
Yep. Okay, so this slide is showing the reasons we've lost employees in any given year. Again, it's broken down by month. A total of 23 employees actually left the district last year. 6 were for retirements. That is an increase of 3 from 2024. We had 6 resignations and 4 left in their introductory period. The best part of this slide to us is that we had an increase of 5 to our promotions and transfers in 2025. So that was internal changes, people who were able to move into other positions, which is always great to see. Okay, our last one, this is the same slide as our first table where it's vacancies created, vacancies filled, and percentage of vacancies, but it's focusing on resignations only. So resignations are those people who have left us voluntarily prior to retirement. So those are the ones that HR really tries to focus on when we're trying to identify reasons people have left. So our vacancy rate average for the entire year is less than 0.5% for vacancies only. The highest was 1.8 in July and August, and then most of the other months was a 0% vacancy rate due to resignation. Okay. Recruitment statistics, we had 24 recruitments total in 2025. That is an increase of 7. Our average days from post to hire was 73. We were able to drop that down almost 20 days from the previous year. The longest recruitment was for 112 days from post to hire. The shortest was 12 days. We've received an average application for each recruitment of 48, and the least was 5, the most was 157. I do want to point out, if you look at the least applications received, one of those positions is the Capital Facilities Senior Engineer. That is one of the positions that the board let us reclassify in October to the Engineering Manager, and it was often because of the trouble we had in recruitment. And I'll pass it back to Denise.
All right, so I'm going to go over hiring issues and strategies. So the hiring issues still remain the same as they did last year. We have to combat against the private sector who can be highly competitive as far as the market goes. We also have a limited candidate pool, particularly for skilled trades and engineers, which is why we did the consolidation of the engineering manager position. Once hired, we've also noticed, as we did last year, that private sector employees have a hard time coming into the public. Private sector employees have a hard time coming over to the public sector. So some of the strategies that we've used to try to improve our hiring process is we have trained a new staff member, Veronica. Some of you have spoken with her. That has enabled Bridget to focus on the higher level things when it comes to recruiting, succession planning, and all those higher level duties. We've also implemented skill-based assessments to strengthen the evaluation during the recruitment process. And we've also implemented eligibility lists for entry-level positions. Retention issues and strategies. So as Bridget mentioned, we had those 6 voluntary separations. We had 1 for relocation out of state. We had 1 for better pay. We had 1 position closer to home, and 3 were personal family matters. So looking at that, some of the strategies to maintain employee retention that we implemented last year is we created a supervisor workshop training series. And we have so far, last year we did 7 to 8 sessions. This year we have slated to do 3 to 4 more sessions for the supervisors. We also have a mentorship opportunity program. We have a job shadow program, and as the board remembers, last year you approved for us to have a certification incentive program for those employees who have above and beyond what is required for their position to get some sort of financial incentive to keep going on renewal. So in conclusion, our vacancy rate still does not trigger any additional requirements pursuant to AB 2561. We still have very healthy levels of turnover. VWD remains competitive to attract and retain top talent. This item has no fiscal impact. This item also supports strategic focus area number 3, workforce excellence, 3 key strategic objectives, 3.1, which is employee engagement, 3.2, which is employee recruitment and retention, and 3.3, which is employee training and development. And this is an informational item only, but Bridget and I would be happy to answer any questions the board may have. Thank you for your time.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Do we know how we compare with other water agencies in the area?
So we haven't looked at it this year, but last year when we looked, we had the lowest resignation retention vacancy rate for all of the other agencies in this, I think the Water Authority's membership.
Okay, thanks.
I believe somebody from the Water Authority did the survey and then passed it out to all of the agencies, I
Yeah,
believe.
it was done by another agency, general manager, when they were collecting data, but I think they didn't like our data, so our data brought the average
Down, because we have pretty good numbers.
which is a good thing in this case.
Any other questions from board members? So,
Wait, I
oh,
was just
sorry.
gonna say, have you, well, it's only been 1 year, but do you see this as helping you in any way in terms of just like,
Well, before I got here, Bridget and Rondi, who was the previous HR manager, they were already collecting this data. So
Okay.
for us, it was just a matter of putting it into and you know, kind of honing in on what our numbers look like. But they've already worked with IT and they've already created, we have a dashboard and we get reports. So we're able to pull the information together pretty easily.
so when we get a new employee, do you ever like call them in a month or two after they start to say, how's it going and that kind of, I mean, or is that too intimidating?
So we certainly try to, and it's a lot easier now that we have a little bit more staff, but I'll be honest, it dropped off.
Okay, yeah.
We are going to start working on some onboarding things. The general manager has asked us to work on some things. So there will be some things with onboarding that we're going to start to include. Now that we have staff and we have the bandwidth to do it, we can definitely do more things now. So that'll be exciting.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, so I would like to ask for a motion and a second to proceed with opening the public hearing. I'll move to open the public hearing. Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, please vote. Okay, motion passes. The public hearing is now open. We will hear from anyone who wishes to speak. Do we have any public speakers for this agenda item?
I have not received any speaker slips for this item, no request to speak.
Okay, if there is nobody else that wants to address the board, I will now close the public hearing. And this was an informational item only, so no action is required from the board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so our first action item, I guess this is our second action item, is, no, it is our first action item, because that was technically a public hearing item. So request amendments to the professional services agreement for construction phase services for the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility chlorine contact tank expansion and conversion to sodium hypochlorite projects.
Yeah, we're gonna try and make that title a little bit longer
Yeah,
next time.
let's
See if we can do it
hear
in
the
one breath.
acronym for that.
No, this is a presentation on basically the ongoing work at MEADOWLARK for both expansion of the chlorine contact tanks and conversion over to sodium hypochlorite. With that, our Director of Engineering, Elizabeth Lopez, will be presenting.
Thank you, General Manager. Good evening, President KERSCHBAUM and members of the board. This item for consideration this evening are amendments requested for Valley Construction Management, Harper and Associates Engineering, and Trussell Technologies for the MRF chlorine contact tank expansion and conversion to sodium hypochlorite projects. So our agenda this evening, we're going to take a brief look at project background, agreements executed and construction delays, construction management and inspection services, quality control coding and inspection services, and to the punchline, amendments for both of those services as they relate to construction delays, as well as the tracer study required for the Title 22 Engineering Report Amendment, which is a regulatory requirement, and then we'll take a look at project budget and staff recommendation. So for project background, the CCT expansion project and conversion to sodium hypochlorite projects were combined into one big package and $16.2 million construction agreement awarded. We refer to this as the combined project. The projects were combined to benefit from an economy of scale with efficiencies in project schedule, not having two contractors, one for each project on top of each other in a constrained site, and having one construction manager manage all construction at MRF. The sodium hypochlorite project, shown here at the middle of the plant, that conversion project replaces the old chlorine gas system with a safer sodium hypochlorite system. The CCT expansion project, shown here at the south end of the plant, adds a new chlorine contact tank to increase tertiary recycled water production from 5 million gallons per day to 6.5 million gallons per day. The CCTs are the last step in the recycled water treatment process, where disinfection is completed to meet regulatory water quality standards, which relates to the tracer study amendment we will be requesting. So taking a look at agreements executed, Pacific Hydrotech was awarded the construction agreement for about $16.2 million. Valley Construction Management was awarded a professional services agreement for full-time inspection and construction management for the combined project. Harper was awarded a task order originally for design support, technical services support during design and inspection for quality control coatings. And they've had two amendments executed for additional inspection support due to the ongoing delays we've been experiencing. And Trussell Technologies was awarded a task order for about $35,000 originally to prepare the engineering report for the Title 22 permit amendment, and that was original task order was for the sodium hypochlorite project, and then amendment 1 was to add the CCT expansion to that report. So as you may recall, in November of last year, we invited board members to the site to see the status of the construction. And at that site visit, as well as Engineering and Equipment Committee in November of last year and January of this year, we have mentioned there's been ongoing construction delays we're experiencing at this project. Construction began in August of 2024, initiating a 365-day calendar day construction period, and recycled water production through construction of this project was shut down in December of 2025. Work as of the contractor's January progress payment was about 80% complete, and their latest schedule indicates project completion in May of 2026, 9 months beyond the contract completion date. Couple of reasons for these delays. There has been some additional work that we've identified through construction, one of those being significantly more concrete damage and reinforcing steel damage than anticipated, as well as unknown utility conflicts that's created extra work and change orders. The primary reason for a lot of the delays has been the contractor's delays, primarily related to scheduling delays, construction sequencing, and concrete coating application. Some examples of this for scheduling delays: we encountered rock when drilling for the shoring piles. The rock was consistent with the geotech report, but it took an additional 68 days beyond what their original baseline schedule showed. So that was a 68-day delay to the construction contract. For sequencing and scheduling of their work, the contractor did not account for an extended 14-day cure time for the exterior basin CCT walls. Typical concrete cure time common is 7 days. For this contract, it was 14. They did not show that in their original schedule. There's a lot of concrete pours to build this, so that extended their work and their schedule quite substantially. Concrete coating application has taken longer than anticipated, primarily due to their means and methods, but also due to the additional concrete repair that we have discovered. Vallecitos was contracted to provide construction management and full-time inspection services for the combined project. Full-time third-party inspection is critical to ensure that the contractor's work is meeting project specifications. And for them, those folks are the ones there daily on site documenting the contractor's daily work and inspections. So that will be critical, and it's really important to help us resolve disputed work that we're working through. Due to the construction delays, staff is requesting an amendment for $150,000 to continue, for Vallecitos to continue providing construction management and inspection services through project completion. The district's as-needed coating inspection consultant, Harper, was contracted to provide specialized coating inspection services. Full-time coating special inspection is essential to ensure the coating system is installed in accordance with project specifications as well as manufacturer specifications, and to make sure it's properly applied to extend the life of our concrete by 20 to 25 years to prevent chemical corrosion and reinforcing steel deterioration. Now, the contractor's baseline schedule allocated 120 days for coating removal, concrete repair, and installation of new coating. And based on actual field conditions and production rates, this scope is now anticipated to take 209 days to complete. That's an additional 89 days, or a 75% increase in the number of days that the contractor is doing this work. And every day that they're doing that work, Harper's on site providing full-time inspection. Another primary cause, or several primary causes to the additional quality control coating and inspection services, is that following the removal of existing coating, the underlying concrete was found to be significantly worse than we anticipated. In Pac Hydro's contract, we included 40 repair locations for concrete once the coating was removed. However, over 1,300 locations needed to be repaired. That's 33 times more concrete repair than we anticipated in the contract. So that's taken more time. Surface coating work at the new CCT basins has taken longer than anticipated, and that's primarily in part due to the contractor's means and methods of applying the coating at different rates. They're using equipment that's applying the coating at a rate slower than what we would expect to see for a project of this size. It meets the specifications, but it's taking longer. They've also had other challenges in maintaining required coating conditions, including temperature and surface dryness, and that has required coatings to be completed at night and night work to be performed. We didn't anticipate there being night work on this contract, so we didn't include overtime rates or that extra time for Harper in their original contracts. Due to the additional concrete repair and contractors' delays, staff is requesting an amendment for Harper for $80,000 to continue providing quality control coating and inspection services through project completion. So moving on from construction delays and amendments for construction support services, we're going to move over to regulatory requirements and put our regulatory hats on. In order to comply with the district's recycled water permit for MRF and state Title 22 water recycling regulatory requirements, the MRF Title 22 permit needs to be amended to incorporate the improvements we're making with this combined project. The permit will be amended by submitting a Title 22 engineering report amendment to the state and DDW to demonstrate plant improvements, including the expansion of the CCT basins, meets Title 22 disinfection requirements. Trussell Technologies was previously contracted to repair this Title 22 engineering report, and their scope of work for that report did not include a tracer study. A tracer study verifies wastewater remains in the new CCTs long enough to achieve the required level of disinfection to comply with Title 22 requirements. So if you look at this figure, the new CCT basin is shown here as the north tank and the existing basins as west and east tank. So the tracer study, in simple terms, puts dye into the tanks at various known flow rates and concentrations and measures the time it takes to flow through the existing tank or new tank and through the existing tank to make sure that we're meeting the minimum total contact time for disinfection requirements. Staff is requesting an amendment for Trussell to execute and prepare the tracer study, which will be another report included as an attachment to the engineering report they're already contracted to prepare, and that will be submitted for our permit amendment. Staff is requesting a $148,000 amendment for Trussell. That includes $58,000 in optional services, just in case the state requires additional testing beyond what we perform and submit. And we're requesting optional service just simply so if that's necessary, we don't have to come back to the board for yet another amendment.
Elizabeth, can we pause? Because I know there's 3, this is the second one out of the 3 amendments, right? So I just had a question on this Trussell one. Did they not know that they would have to be doing the tracer study when they?
So looking at their scope of work, it does say that they assumed that the tracer study would be prepared by someone else and provided to them to incorporate into their report.
I see, okay.
I can't really say what our plan was. The project manager at that time, I don't know what his plan was and he's not here. So either we planned on having somebody else perform it, or we planned on doing an amendment to Trussell's contract to have them add that.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you. Did anybody have any questions on this one in particular? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So taking a look at the combined project budget, the combined project budget is about $21.4 million. And anticipated project expenses, excluding these 3 amendments that we're requesting tonight, is $22.1 million. Taking into consideration the $150,000 amendment we are requesting for Valley CM, $80,000 amendment for Harper, and almost $45,000 for Trussell, in addition to a $480,000 repair of primary and secondary basins, which is the next item on tonight's agenda, and those repairs will be explained in further detail by our mechanical maintenance manager, Chris. Taking into consideration all of that, that leaves us with a budget deficit of approximately $1.6 million. But if any of you haven't been through our budget meetings or presentations, I want to remind you that when we budgeted for this project, we didn't include any grant money for grants that were awarded. We budget the whole project amount knowing we have to have money to spend it. So to date, we have received $1.6 million in grant reimbursement. And taking that into consideration, because it's money already received, that leaves a budget remaining of about $38,000. We have more money we anticipate receiving with grants as we continue submitting reimbursement for them. And that additional total is about $1.9 million. So when you take that into consideration, we are not needing a budget request to execute or approve these amendments. Additionally, to date, through PAC Hydro's January progress payment, we've withheld $1.3 million in liquidated damages. There is currently disputed work that we're trying to resolve with them, and there is other requests for additional work, so there might be more contract days awarded to them as we resolve things, so that number is fluid and changing as more time goes by. We will also be withholding more money. So that's not an exact amount. It doesn't mean that we will certainly keep it all, but it will be used to help pay for these additional costs due to the delays that are caused by them. So with that, staff recommends authorizing the general manager to execute execute Amendment 2 with Valley CM for $150,000 for continued construction management and full-time inspection services for the combined project. Execute Amendment 3 with Harper on a time and materials amount of $80,000 for additional quality control coding inspection services. And Amendment 3 with Trussell for $144,770 to execute the tracer study in support of the Title 22 engineering report addendum. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any more questions about the, Director Ellithorpe?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that we were given this presentation at the March 11th Engineering and Equipment Committee, and we gave it our support
Okay,
for the staff's recommendation.
great.
Yes.
Do we have any public speakers for this item?
We have not received any requests to speak.
Okay, I do not have any other questions, so I would like to move to approve those amendments.
I'll second that.
Okay, please vote. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, action item 3.2, repair of primary and secondary clarifiers at the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility.
Yeah, so the board actually got a little of a preview of this within the budget presentation, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail on this item for this repair, and with that, Chris Muller, our mechanical maintenance manager, and our director of operations. So, mic's on.
Good evening, directors and members of the public. My name is Chris Muller, and I'm the district's mechanical maintenance manager. This evening, I will be presenting on the repair of the primary and secondary clarifiers at the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility, which was introduced in the previous presentation by our Director of Engineering. At the end of my presentation, I will be asking the board to, 1, authorize a sole source procurement of specialized parts, and 2, authorize the general manager to execute a construction contract for this repair. First, I will provide some background and walk you through a brief timeline of the ongoing project at the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility. Then I will discuss the needed repair to the clarifiers and explain why it is critical to both the treatment process and the overall project. Next, I will outline the scope of work involved in the repair. Then I'll discuss the fiscal impact the repair will have on the project. And finally, I will conclude with staff's recommendation, and then I'll be happy to take any questions. In June of 2024, the board awarded a construction contract at the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility, MRF, for the MRF chlorine contact tank expansion project and the conversion to sodium hypochlorite project, now referred to as the combined project. A notice to proceed was issued in August of the same year, and the production of recycled water ceased later that year in December. In December of last year, 2025, district staff conducted an operational readiness evaluation of all critical treatment processes at the MRF to prepare for plant startup. On March 11, 2026, staff presented on the repair of the clarifiers at the Engineering and Equipment Committee meeting and received their support at the time. As was mentioned in previous presentation, the combined project is currently in the final stages of construction, with startup and commissioning activities anticipated to follow in May of this year. As mentioned, the combined project is nearing completion at the MEADOWLARK Water Reclamation Facility. Construction activities are in final stages, and once completed, the project will move into the startup and commissioning phase. These activities are required before the plant can resume recycled water production and return to normal operating flows. In preparation for startup and commissioning, district staff conducted operational readiness evaluations of all treatment processes. During these assessments, staff identified major deficiencies with the chain and flight systems in the primary clarifiers and the secondary clarifiers. So what are clarifiers? Primary and secondary clarifiers are key sedimentation processes in wastewater treatment that remove solids through gravity settling. Chain and flight systems are the mechanical mechanisms that scrape settled sludge and solids from the basin floor. They then push the sludge toward the collection hoppers at the end of each basin for removal. These systems are the primary mechanical component of the clarifiers and are essential for proper sedimentation. Because of their role in solids removal, the clarifiers are identified on the critical path for plant startup. Without these repairs, the contractor cannot complete the final testing and commissioning of the combined project, which would delay the overall project schedule and ultimately prevent the district from bringing the plant fully back online. And this brings us to the regulatory requirements and how they factor into the situation. Under the district's recycled water permit, which is issued by the Regional Water Quality Control Board, the facility is required to maintain a certain level of treatment redundancy and overall treatment capacity. In practice, this means the facility must have at least one primary clarifier and one secondary clarifier in operation, with at least one additional primary and secondary clarifier available as backup. Maintaining this redundancy is an important part of the permit requirements as it ensures the facility can continue to reliably treat water even if one unit needs to be taken out of service for maintenance or repair. And lastly, the MRF must comply with all conditions established in our permit for recycled water production to prevent violations. In this next slide, I will be discussing the chain and flight condition assessment. In December of last year, a specialized contractor further evaluated the condition of the existing chain and flight systems in the clarifiers. Their assessment found that these systems are original to the plant expansion completed in 2009, making them approximately 17 years old. Typically, these systems have an expected useful life of 10 years due to continuous use and exposure to the elements. Over time, the chain and flight system can stretch and lose alignment, creating drag against the clarifier walls that may damage the concrete and lead to failure of system components. We are currently observing many of these issues at the MRF, including worn bearings and sprockets on the drive shaft. Because proper alignment is critical to the operation of these systems, even minor deviations from a single failed component can trigger a chain reaction of major mechanical problems. Based on the chain and flight system's current condition and age, the contractor determined that the equipment can no longer be refurbished and that a full replacement is necessary. As a result, the contractor recommended replacing the chain and flight systems in 2 primary clarifiers and 2 secondary clarifiers to restore the facility's minimum operation capacity. In this slide, I will cover the sole source procurement of parts and the contractor proposals for labor and equipment. Replacement parts were quoted for 2 primary clarifiers and 2 secondary clarifiers. These parts are not stocked and are built to order by the original manufacturer with a manufacturing lead time of approximately 8 to 10 weeks. To avoid delays to the project schedule and resumption of recycled water production, staff ordered the necessary specialty parts from the original manufacturer with delivery expected in the 2nd week of April. Because these parts are specialized equipment designed for the existing clarifier systems, they were procured on a sole source basis. For the installation work, staff developed a defined scope of work and solicited proposals from 2 qualified contractors, SS Mechanical Construction and Jamieson Engineering, ensuring competitive pricing. SS Mechanical Construction was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and moving forward with them allows the district to complete the repairs promptly while maintaining responsible stewardship of public funds and keeping the project on schedule. This slide summarizes the fiscal impact of the repair of the 2 primary clarifiers and 2 secondary clarifiers. As you may recall from the previous presentation by our Director of Engineering, the cost of the materials and labor associated with this repair will be funded through the existing combined project budget. The top table shows the cost of the materials for the primary clarifiers is $141,109, while the cost of the materials for the secondary clarifiers is $112,176. All parts and material are being shipped together, which will provide the district with a $6,000 discount on freight. The bottom table shows the proposals received from each of the 2 contractors for labor and equipment. As you can see, SS Mechanical Construction came in significantly lower at a combined total of $215,995, while Jamieson Engineering came in at $339,250. Based on the $271,286 purchase order for specialty parts and the lower cost proposal from SS Mechanical Construction for $215,995, the combined estimated total cost for the repair is $487,281. The proposed material procurement and construction contract are within the project budgets, and an increase in the project's budget is not being requested for this repair. Purchase orders have been issued for the necessary parts, with delivery expected in the second week of April. Approval of this repair supports the district's strategic plan, focus area number 1, infrastructure integrity. The MEADOWLARK water reclamation facility is a critical treatment asset, and refurbishment of the primary and secondary clarifier chain and flight systems protects essential mechanical infrastructure necessary for reliable plant operations. Completing this work in coordination with the current capital project strengthens long-term asset performance, reduces failure risk, and supports consistent regulatory compliance and recycled water production. Staff recommends the Board of Directors approve the following actions for the MRF CCT expansion project and conversion project. 1. Authorize a sole source procurement of parts to replace the chain and flight systems in 2 primary and 2 secondary clarifiers at the MRF. And 2. Authorize the general manager to execute a construction contract with SS Mechanical Construction Corps in the amount of $215,995, subject to the provisions of the contract. I'll now take any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions? That's what I said, right? Didn't I say Chris? Did I say Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I'm wondering, once this is finished in 2026 of May, hopefully, can we expect that this won't happen, we won't have to do this again for quite a long time?
Well, the 2 primaries clarifiers and the 2 secondary clarifiers represent just a percentage of the clarifier basins at the MRF. So what we've done is, we had the contractor assess all of the basins, and so we're going to create future CIP projects to address the remaining basins.
So then there'll be this ongoing, always keeping them in order so we don't have like a big major thing. Okay.
That's the
smart.
idea.
Yeah, but in the future budgets, there'll be itemized items to ensure that we don't have a failure point, but we'll be paying for maintenance on this.
And then where do we get the grants from?
The grants have been a long effort between state and federal. We've been working with a coalition of agencies called the North County Recycled Water Coalition. That's, I can't remember, is it, Jason, 8 or 9 agencies total? 9, okay, 9 agencies total. So we all go together to try and get lobbyists and work on getting this grant for interconnecting multiple recycled water projects in the region.
And do we write these grants in-house?
No, it's done through that coalition, so every single member just has a prorated share,
Okay.
and then there's an equity. So in other words, if you get a larger portion of the grant, then your share is proportional to your portion, to what you get from the grant.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Arthur?
As Chris mentioned, we heard this at engineering committee as well, and we gave our support.
Okay, great. Okay, did you have any more questions? Your light is on, so.
Oh,
Can I have a motion to approve staff's recommendation to repair the primary and secondary clarifiers at the MRF?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote. Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports. General Manager.
Yeah, I have a few items this time. So on Thursday, 3/19, our crews will be doing some work on Rancho Santa Fe Road, night work near MEADOWLARK, actually, to repair a 24-inch butterfly valve. This may take several nights' worth of work to get the job done. Friday, 3/20, we're issuing our 60-day public review period for Vallecitos Urban Water Management Plan. This will be coming to the engineering committee in April and then coming to the board probably in May for presentation. Friday, 3/27 is our deadline for scholarships. So we're looking forward to that. On 4/10 is our deadline for our fourth grade calendar contest, so we have that coming up. We also have smoke testing coming up in April, and actually our Director of Operations gave me a listing. I believe it's April 20th that we'll be doing the smoke testing, correct? Okay. And apparently they are smoke testing my house specifically to make sure I'm not illegally connected. But actually, it looks like it's on the San Luis Hills area.
Extra smoke.
Yeah, actually, this is my neighborhood, now that I looked at the list. So this is all my neighborhood. I'm gonna have a separate meeting with my operations staff to discuss this and specifically why my address is pointed out here. So, no, but they'll be doing smoke testing in the neighborhood then, and so I'm sure I will get lots of calls from my neighbors as they know where I work. So with that, that concludes my, my report.
Thank you, James. And I want to say too, I don't know if anybody else on the board has been to smoke testing, but it's kind of like a fun, cool thing to do, and you get to hang out with Eric and his staff. So if you haven't done it, like, let Eric know you want to check it out. And so it's just kind of interesting to see. And there was actually we saw a leak when I was out there, so it was like the first one that we did. So it was, I think you guys planned that.
It's like whale watching.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, District Legal Counsel.
Just one item. Yesterday, there was a rare occurrence that you may have heard about. Northern and Southern California legislators and water managers and environmentalists all came together to support SB 872, which is a bill that would provide funding annually from the Department of Water Resources, $150 million from the Department of Water Resources to support the state's water conveyance system, and another $150 million annually appropriated to support the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta Conservancy projects. Of note, none of that money could be used for funding relative to the Delta Conveyance Facility projects. This funding would be an annual program, obviously a combined $300 million for the next 20 years under this bill. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. San Diego County Water Authority our meeting is tomorrow, so I'll have a report next month. Encina wastewater.
Yes, I attended the closed session, which I can't really talk to you about, but then I had a doctor's appointment, and I left the rest up to Jim, and I don't know if James wants to report.
Yeah, so both Wes and I attended the board budget workshop where Encina went over its annual proposed budget. There's going to be another workshop, or not another workshop, another presentation of the board on the draft budget before finalizing. With that, you're looking at an increase in costs at Encina. And Vallecitos has a fairly large increase, but they made the assumption MEADOWLARK would be down for the entire year. So with some hope and some teamwork, we'll get MEADOWLARK back up, which will make a fairly dramatic difference. It will cut our increase in half if MEADOWLARK's back up. So that's the good news on our side, assuming that we get MEADOWLARK back up. But in general, we're looking at increased costs from Encina, but so are almost every agency.
So the cost will be still increased when MRF goes up. We just are offsetting it with our revenue from the.
No, so basically the draft percentage is I think 11.9% increase for Vallecitos, assuming MEADOWLARK's down the whole time, and because it's your slice of the pie changes, so this is not an exact number, but the number gets cut more than half if MEADOWLARK is back in operation.
Oh, okay, because we're sending less to them when we.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you. And standing committees.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the March 11th Engineering and Equipment Committee. We heard the two items, MEADOWLARK items that we just heard this evening. And those were the only two things we did at that committee. Yesterday, we had a Finance Committee meeting. And items for discussion, review operating budget requests, and discuss the auditor agreement. Was it?
And then there was not a legislative committee
No.
meeting, okay. And then are there any more directors' reports on meetings, conferences, or seminars over the last couple weeks? Nope, okay. Any other business or future agenda items? Okay. This meeting is adjourned.